Craig, we started 15 minutes late yesterday because of Robbo's technical issues.
Yep. Get rid of him.
That was it? He's such a professional. He stayed with.
No, you get rid. At that point, when you're having technical issues, you're on the clock.
Yeah.
We start the show.
You can imagine how calm he was about the whole situation.
Well, it's a recurring theme, isn't it?
What, Robbo getting stressed?
No, he's technical issues.
Wow.
Wow. Dear.
Wow. What a...
I don't think. Let me tell you, I don't think it had anything to do with me. I was in position a half an hour before the show was meant to start, and something went wrong technically.
Yes.
I think your end.
What a surprise! Robbo's blaming other people.
Dan.
Never my fault.
He pulled the plug.
Yeah,
Dan pulled the plug.
Where's Mrs. Robson? She'll back you up when you're Robbo. Never your fault. Craig.
Never my fault.
Craig, do players have any preference over playing style, or is winning the only thing that matters? Arsenal did finally win the Premier League, so do you think they're willing to implement the same approach?
I do. Look, winning matters. Of course, it's the most important thing. But I do think players, most players, not all. I do think most players are interested in how your team plays.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, because you want to. Certainly, from my point of view, you want to win, and sometimes you need to do, anything you can to win a game. And sometimes games go that way. But if you're asking me over like a 38-game season, where I want the team I was playing in to try and play a little bit, and yeah, I would.
Right.
Because I've been in sides that I have had to defend, and don't see much possession. And that's not because they wanted to play that way, it's because they weren't good enough. Mm-hmm. And it's not enjoyable. So the answer is, I think if you can marry the both of them, that's the best way. If you think you can play the way Arsenal have, certainly in the second half of the season, for the next 5 years and be successful, and you're okay with that, then fine. But from a player's point of view, I think I want to go out and try and play a little bit as well.
It's about player personnel and who do you have in that locker room.
So Venezuela, Brazil.
Correct, and that's the point I was going to make. That okay, look, they got Ronaldo, Venezuela's got me. I think we're just going to defend.
But Arsenal aren't Venezuela.
No, that's the point I'm making. That if you are an attacking player in Arsenal, if you're Bukayo Saka or any other attacking player there, you're kind of thinking, we have more about us than just defending. Allow us the freedom to be able to showcase that, allow us the freedom to play to the level that I think we're capable of playing. And that's part of the criticism that we have of Arsenal, that we think they can be better than what they do, that they limit themselves when they just choose, and this is a choice, they choose to be as defensive as they are.
Arsenal had the lowest possession stats, Robbo, in the history of the Champions League final.
Yeah, and it goes down to Mikel Arteta. As a coach, the only reason you go on the defensive is because you don't think you're as good as the opponents. You want to. If you think the opposition are better than you, you're thinking, well, how are we going to stop them playing here? How are we going to stop that? We've got to defend well here. So Mikel Arteta must go into that game thinking PSG are a much better side than us. Otherwise, you wouldn't play in that manner, which is a worry for the likes of Saka, for the likes of Havertz, for the likes of Eze when he's playing, and Trossard, because they're not going to get the best chance to show their qualities. We see it at Atletico Madrid. Ali was talking about it on the show. If you were Alvarez, or if you were one of the front players for Atletico Madrid, you'd be frustrated week in, week out that you don't get enough possession. I'm sure that's what some of the Arsenal players are thinking now, particularly Gyökeres.
Arteta said things...
Sorry, that's a damning start, isn't it? In terms of possession.
Yes, 24.7%.
I mean, that's like... that's what Arsenal would have if they were playing an FA Cup game against a team 2 or 3 levels below them. That's where we are. And the other point about that is when you're defending, sometimes when you have a dodgy back four, you're not very good, bit weak, then you will defend deep because you don't want to expose them. So you'll get numbers in front of them. You'll not leave space behind. But when you have a back four that's been lauded for a long time as one of the best in Europe, certainly one of the best in the Premier League, why wouldn't you squeeze the game? Why are you worried about Dembele running in behind you or Kvaratskhelia when you've got this ability and speed in the back four? You don't. So therefore, if you squeeze that game, you can get 20, 30 yards further up the field, and you're all of a sudden you're imposing yourself on PSG. When you're sitting as deep as that teams that do that are worried about the deficiencies they have in their side, which Arsenal shouldn't be concerning themselves about that. Which But that, again, that stat's damning. 24% possession in the Champions League final. That's less than Inter Milan had last year in a 5-0 demolition. That's embarrassing.
Arteta said things didn't go our way. A penalty was given for PSG and no penalty was given to Madueke, and then the penalty shootout.
Well, listen, let's get the crocodile tears out of the way. The Kvaratskhelia one was absolutely nailed on, and the other one was probably a 60-40 call at best, and the referee, the on-field decision, stood.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's
Just where Arsenal are.
Yeah.
If you look at the draw, they had an easy draw, however you want to paint it. Atletico Madrid, they weren't great. Sporting, they weren't great. It's just that you can only beat the teams that are in front of you, but you come up against a team where you have to play, you have to try and break them down, you have to try and do something. They didn't have that in their Arsenal.
And you give them credit that they beat the teams in front of you and you got to this stage, but you had to do more in order to win this. Mikel Arteta, I imagine Mikel Arteta watching Barcelona play and Hansi Flick and the way that they squeeze the play, and he must be having a heart attack. He must not believe that this is the way that the game is played. Conversely, Hansi Flick watching Mikel Arteta play is like, what are these guys doing? What are these guys doing? Somewhere in the middle, there's a happy medium there. Somewhere in the middle is a sweet spot, and Mikel Arteta was not willing to meet that sweet spot.
There's not one Barcelona player in the back four would get into the Arsenal team. Arguably. Kubarsi's a young guy. You know, Gerard Martin never. Baldi's been out the side.
You made the point, they had 4 centre-backs today, Arsenal.
Yeah, but even, you know, but even with that back four, Hansi Flick, his approach is, if we're going to lose, we're going to lose trying to win with this back four. And yet, with a much stronger back four, with by the way, they've got 2 back fours, Arsenal, that could probably put Barcelona to shame. When you think about Timber and Calafiori and Ben White and others, and yet they still sitting on the edge of the box. It's totally and if Arsenal fans think we've been picking on them, go back and watch the tape. Go back and watch the game.
Or don't, please.
Okay, for all, speaking about, what do Bayern, Barca and Real Madrid specifically need to do to dethrone this PSG machine? Let's give you Bayern. Ali?
Squad depth is important for Bayern Munich. They were lacking that. They also need to find consistency of play alongside Joshua Kimmich in the midfield. Leon Goretzka is no longer part of the picture at Bayern Munich, and Pavlovic can be inconsistent. So they need somebody else alongside Kimmich that gives the freedom to Kimmich to control the game offensively, but then gives you balance defensively. They haven't had that for a few years now.
Barcelona?
Probably an extra, well, a couple of things. Certainly not in the attacking area.
As they signed Julian Alvarez.
Although Lewandowski's gone, but he was out the side. He spent a lot of time on the bench towards the end of the season. They've signed Anthony Gordon. Don't know what's happening with Rashford. So the forward areas, you know, it should take care of itself. You know, I think another player to back up Pedri and De Jong, because De Jong's had some injuries, and you know Pedri picks him up now and again. But definitely you've got to look at your back four. If you're going to play that way, I think you need it's at least one player next to Kubarsi, or maybe 2 centre backs that can play that high line with a bit more organisation. I think because that is always going to be, it's the way they play, but they're just going to have to play it a little bit better, if that makes sense. And I think the players that they have in that back line have done a good job for Hansi Flick, but they're not top quality players. Certainly not, you know, João Cancelo's been in the side because Baldi was not playing well. He's been here, there and everywhere. He's a great footballer, he's not a great defender. Gerard Martin's done a good job, but he's not a Barcelona centre-half. So they've got areas that they could fill, and I think that's where they would need to improve if they're going to beat PSG.
Robbo, you get the easy one, Real Madrid.
Well, obviously they've got to work harder as a team. They've got some good individual players, but Mourinho's got to get them to defend as well as attack, and they've got to be more compact. They've got to work harder as a team, as a unit, to win the ball back, and they've also got to work harder in the attacking areas to work as a unit. And they can't have 1 or 2 players doing nothing when you want to defend. And there's got to be better shape to the team. You can't have players rotating here, there, and everywhere, because when you lose possession, then you're in trouble. So there's got to be more discipline. They've got to take away the egos. They've got to play as a team. And I still think they'll be okay next year. But will they replace PSG? Not yet.
Robbo, what's the difference between Arteta's tactics and Mourinho's tactics? One is heralded as a modern manager, while the